This is a fake one-sided rivalry. We got Angel Reese taking more shots at Caitlin Clark unnecessarily. You in Indiana having a great time partying. We see all the clips. Why can't you just do your thing? Why can't you just do your thing?
Do you want to witness the precise moment that Angel Reese's publicity stunt backfired? Imagine this. Thinking she's going to steal the show in Indianapolis, she launches her shoe ad in the midst of WNBA All-Star Weekend, plastered everywhere. The issue? Injury to Caitlin Clark occurs. The cost of tickets drops 48%. All of a sudden, it appears that Reese is attempting to take advantage of an empty stage with her entire campaign. The figures are honest. Theatrics don't matter when Clark isn't around. We're dissecting all of Reese's embarrassing moments from that weekend and how she's being ruined. To make fun of Baby Giraffe's most recent escapade, leave a comment below.
Come on.
But can Sarah Spain and the media stop going out there and saying that the Caitlin Clark needs to do something to stop all this, when it is very clear this is a one-sided beef, and the one-sided beef is not from Caitlin Clark?
Everyone believed that women's basketball would finally become a part of the mainstream sports culture during All-Star Weekend. Do you know what was expected to occur? Reese versus Clark in Indianapolis. Yelling in crowded arenas set a record for viewership that would force ESPN officials to take notice of women's sports. It was all set up like a Hollywood screenplay.
We do start our show, though, with unfortunate news out of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark announced today that she will miss both the three-point contest and the WNBA All-Star Game this upcoming weekend in Indiana after re-aggravating a groin injury in that final minute of Tuesday's win over the Connecticut Sun. Clark had missed 4 games and the Commissioner's Cup final with that groin injury earlier this month, and now will be out for this weekend's festivities, which really stinks for fans, but you know that if there was any way that she could be out.
However, a few days before the weekend, Clark's groin ailment is revealed. And all of a sudden, the foundation begins to crumble. For months, fans had been organizing this trip. They reserved flights to Indianapolis with the express purpose off-watch Caitlin Clark uses her own ground to play. The hotels were completely booked. Restaurants were getting ready for throngs they hadn't seen since March Madness was brought to town by the NCAA tournament. The marketing initiatives were already well underway. The Clark-Reese rivalry was expected to draw attention and involvement. Therefore, corporate sponsors had invested a significant sum of money on this weekend. Nike was prepared with limited editions. ESPN was marketing this as a must-watch show. Social media was ablaze with countdown posters and speculations about the most popular person. The ideal setting for Clark was thought to be her home state advantage. Indiana basketball supporters were eager to fill Gainbridge Fieldhouse and demonstrate to the rest of the league what true basketball is all about, what passion looks like. The plot was self-explanatory. At the largest WNBA tournament of the year, the hometown hero takes center stage. Then, as word got out on social media about Clark's injury, the cascade of events began to unfold. All of those meticulously planned marketing strategies suddenly appeared dubious. The primary plot point in which everyone was interested abruptly disappeared. The sound of the air exiting the balloon was almost audible.
It's a story we have been following throughout the past 2 days, surrounds the superstar herself, Caitlin Clark, the WNBA star, the Indiana Fever star, Caitlin Clark. She's going to miss all the action on the court.
This wasn't simply any player suffering an injury. Clark has introduced fresh perspectives to the league on his own. She became a casual sports fan, becoming WNBA fans. Even those who had no interest in women's basketball tuned in to see what all the excitement was about thanks to her. The player who truly made a difference was lost because of her absence. Instead of serving as the championship weekend for women's basketball, it served as a case study for how flimsy the WNBA's momentum is. All that anticipation, all that build-up, and all those corporate funds staking bets on unprecedented success. When she was unable to, it all depended on one player being well enough to play. You could see how crucial Clark's star power was to the league's recent expansion.
Caitlin Clark gets hurt, and guess what? Your demand vanishes because
People ain't going to pay up to see these athletes that are ungrateful that their sport's growing. People aren't paying up for that. And we are here, right here. The tickets for this game, for this All-Star game, they've dropped by 50%.
The well-organized women's basketball celebration ended up serving as a reminder of the league's ongoing challenges. However, while Clark was coping with a real ailment and upsetting people who were there because they truly wanted to see her perform, someone else saw a chance to make the weekend their own. Imagine launching your largest marketing campaign in your competitor's hometown while she is too injured to even come defend her territory. During All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis, Angel Reese achieved just that with her "I'm in Your City" promotion. In Caitlin Clark's backyard, she launched her Reebok trademark shoe campaign with billboards, social media posts, and messages that shouted territorial takeover.
But when it comes to the vendors in the arena, the shops in the arena, they're not going to have the same amount of people patronize their business as they would if Caitlin Clark was there. The surrounding restaurants, the surrounding areas, the surrounding attractions, they're not going to have the same number of people patronize their business as they would if Caitlin Clark was healthy.
Depending on your perspective, the timing couldn't have been more premeditated or worse. Being in Indianapolis, Reese's squad planned the entire campaign with the knowledge that it was Clark's home field. The sneaker launch was more than just a product introduction. Making a statement in hostile territory was the goal. Let's be honest about what transpired. Reese sprayed "Enter Your Trap." Used Bankroll Fresh's song to take over your trap on her Instagram story, as well as take over your trap messaging across social media. Do you know what it sounds like when your primary rival is sidelined due to an injury? You seem to be attempting to win a battle in which your opponent is unable to appear at all. Social media responses from fans told the entire tale. Given the situation, some were labeling it classless and opportunistic. While some fans praised the marketing strategy, many more wondered why Reese felt the need to go to such lengths while Clark was recovering from a real ailment. The remarks varied from lighthearted jokes to outright critiques of the timing.
Reebok, Angel Reese are taking shots at Caitlin Clark, using her as promo. Angel Reese, let's be clear here. Let's just be all the way clear here. Angel Reese is a solid basketball player. Angel Reese 100% has benefited from attaching herself to Caitlin Clark at every single turn. Her podcast, the first 3 episodes, all the clips promoting was bringing up Caitlin Clark. It was bringing up Caitlin Clark in all of the promo. People wanted to know what she was going to say. She used Caitlin Clark as promo.
This is when things start to get interesting. Instead of changing her strategy, when Clark's absence was formally announced, Reese doubled down. The league's other players were considerate of Clark's predicament and restrained their competitive remarks. Not Reese. She continued to advance the campaign as if nothing had changed. The difference was clear. Reese was out there attempting to make it all about her feud with someone who couldn't even defend herself on the court, while the other All-Stars concentrated on enjoying the weekend and the league's expansion. According to one video study, Reese's crew was quite skilled at marketing and created the campaign to spark discussion, even if it was a bad one.
Angel Reese, I'm in your city. Walk in your trap, take over your trap. Post it on Instagram. There's about 15 fans there and Reebok put up a board. You would expect Reebok to put up a board. Let's never forget that when let's never forget the gigantic Caitlin Clark Nike billboard in Chicago. Let's never forget that. So if Reebok didn't put up a board for Angel Reese,
what was meant to be a daring marketing strategy instead came off attempting to win a match in which your opponent was unable to even put on a suit. You're discussing occupying someone's city while they're unable to participate due to an injury. Competition isn't what that is. That is opportunism masquerading as assurance. The entire campaign emphasized what one expert described as an entirely one-sided contest. While Clark dealt with real basketball issues, Reese was out there punching the air. However, the actual evidence of how severely this backfired was presented in the form of hard, cold statistics.
Is you continue to take shots at her, and then when them shots get fired back, nobody likes it. We don't have no videos of Caitlin Clark really taking shots at Angel Reese. Look at what Angel Reese and Reebok are doing for views. walk in your trap, take over your trap. This is promo they're doing in Indianapolis where Caitlin Clark plays. That is a clear shot. It's a clear shot. Like I said, this is a fake rivalry. I think you've won one game versus Caitlin Clark. You've never won in Indiana at all. It's just like you continue to attach yourself to her at every turn and use her as promo.
Are you curious about Caitlin Clark's exact value to the WNBA? Take a look at what transpired when she was unable to play. The entire tale is told by the ticket price decrease from $121 to $64. When word of her injury spread, there was a 48% decline that occurred practically overnight. This was not a little dip. The market was screaming that the product would be worth almost half as much without Clark. Prior to Clark's injury, the average purchase price for the All-Star game was $262, making it the most costly in league history, according to TickPick data. The record-breaking demand vanished more quickly than Angel Reese's reputation.
Caitlin Clark has never said a negative word about Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark has never said a negative word, or like, to be honest, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, like, she did show it by her actions. Showed it by her actions. She didn't need to say, I'm taking over Chicago. She did, though, however, go and put up 31 and 12, set a career high with 12 assists, be the only player in the history of the WNBA ever to have 31 and 12 in a game. She did, in fact, do that and then try to hype up the Chicago crowd. So it's like, fair enough, you want to say, oh, Caitlin Clark did this, then show it with your actions. Go and win MVP. Go and win MVP. Don't just be like, this is my city. Don't just come in and be like, this is my city. You've never won a game. Has she won a game in Indiana? I don't think she's ever won a game in Indiana. I actually do not think she has won a pro game in Indiana.
Are you aware of the implications for other marquee matches? In ways the WNBA has never witnessed before, Clark's presence increases demand everywhere. Due to a quad strain that kept her out of regular season games in late May, resale values Fever Road games saw drops of 71% for a Chicago game and 47% for a Washington matchup. That is not the typical impact of an athlete. Superstar economics is that. TV networks and corporate sponsors were forced to quickly modify their coverage strategies and expectations. WNBA Experiences event packages have already sold out. Within hours of seat releases, the venue was completely sold out. When the major draw failed to materialize, all of that preparation and money appeared to be in vain.
Now with Reebok she's using, this is nonstop. She has attached herself to Caitlin Clark at every single turn, and she has benefited. Let's be clear here. Yes, she does receive backlash. She does receive negativity, but she has benefited greatly. She has made millions of dollars off of attaching herself to Caitlin Clark and using her to make her brand bigger.
In Indianapolis, the ripple effect had an impact on hotel reservations, concession earnings, and merchandise sales. Businesses in the area relied on Clark to attract thousands of fans to the city. Restaurants are ready for large groups of people. Not since March Madness. Hotels made reservations in anticipation of a surge in basketball tourism. The impact of Clark's absence extended beyond ticket sales. It harmed the event's whole economic environment. This highlights the league's reliance on a single individual, which has advantages and disadvantages. Clark is a transcendent star who generates previously unheard-of levels of attention and income. However, the entire foundation begins to sway when one star goes out. This is the only way that a current WNBA player moves the needle.
This is absolutely a one-sided rivalry. And we've got to say it like it is. Like, we can't say Caitlin needs to do this, Caitlin needs to do that. Let's be real. The only reason this is still a rivalry is because the other side of the rivalry won't stop it. And by the way, it is extremely beneficial for Angel Reese to be in this rivalry.
Let's be honest about the evidence these figures provided. Although everyone believed Clark wasn't simply another celebrity, the 48% decrease in ticket prices confirmed it. At the moment, she is the star. She was the focal point of the WNBA's whole All-Star Weekend presence, and people practically paid half as much for the experience without her. The market is honest. The players concluded that now is the ideal moment to establish their own demands, even as the economy collapsed and Clark's irreplaceable importance was demonstrated. Demanding more money while your biggest draw is hurt and ticket costs are skyrocketing is the epitome of read the room. When WNBA players chose to wear "Pay Us What You Owe Us" shirts before All-Star Game warm-ups, that is precisely what happened. It couldn't have come at a worse time. The arrival of the protest shirts coincided with the weekend's lowest point in fan sentiment. This event recently saw a roughly 50% drop in ticket sales due to Caitlin Clark's inability to perform. The participants decide to demand greater remuneration at that precise moment. Do you know how that would appear to supporters who have just witnessed their investment lose 48% of its value in a single day? In other words, you will.
The ticket prices. The demand fell off a cliff. And it's not just the on-court product that suffers without number 22, Caitlin Clark. The entire weekend's economic opportunities have felt the fallout. This was conveyed with a July 18th post from NBA Central that wrote, quote, "The get-in price for the WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis has dropped 48%, from $121 a ticket to $64 a ticket after the news broke that Caitlin Clark won't be playing." I mean, the tickets lost 50% of its value. These numbers are confirmed by TickPick's website, currently having the All-Star Game's get-in price at $64. In a July 16th article from Front Office Sports, which was posted before Clark announced she'd be sitting out, was $121.
Players want a larger piece of the pie at the very moment when the worth of their product was being questioned. The WNBA is currently negotiating a CBA with players who are calling for improved travel arrangements, increased pay, larger rosters, and greater assistance for moms. Although these are valid worries that merit consideration, the timing gave the impression that the players were utterly unaware of the economic realities that played it out in real time. Let's be honest about how supporters responded to this. The irony of asking higher compensation when barely half the audience turned up for one player who wasn't even there was brought to light by the outpouring of anger on social media. Many fans thought the players were biting the hand that feeds them, and comments varied from perplexity to downright rage. The visuals were awful.
From $121 all the way down to just $64 after news broke that Caitlin Clark won't be playing. These are people saying, "I'm done. I don't want to watch. Caitlin Clark's not." I bought tickets solely to watch Caitlin Clark in the All-Star Game. I made accommodations solely to get to Indiana to watch Caitlin Clark in the All-Star Game. She's injured. I have no interest in that anymore. People are selling their tickets so much so they just want off of them. $121, okay. You want it for $100? Oh no, okay. I guess I gotta lower it to $80. Oh, you don't want to buy it for $80? Okay, I guess I'll lower it to $70. You don't want to buy it to $70? I guess I'll lower it to $64. The WNBA is paying attention to these trends, and they're seeing firsthand what Caitlin Clark is worth to this league.
The protests' valid concerns were overshadowed by its ill-timed execution. Players are angry that their pay hasn't increased in line with the league's expansion, particularly given a new media rights agreement worth $2.2 billion that will begin in 2026. The league strategy, which prioritized wage caps over satisfying player demands for more equitable revenue distribution, was attacked by WNBPA President Neko Awick. What do other professional leagues do you know? Labor protests are not held during their showpiece events. During All-Star Weekend, NBA players are not allowed to wear protest shirts. The NFL doesn't use the Super Bowl as a forum for contract disputes. These discussions have their place and time, and All-Star Weekend isn't it. This, additionally, a further dose of negativity to what was already turning out to be a miserable weekend for supporters. After Clark is hurt, ticket prices plummet, players begin to demand higher fees, and the whole enterprise collapses. Players reject the talks as a lost chance, despite Commissioner Kathy Angelberg calling them fruitful and beneficial.
Really unfortunate that Caitlin Clark missed it. The crowd would have been exploding. The crowd would have been exploding. The arena would have been exploding. Oh man, a big miss as far as the WNBA is concerned.
Although the protest brought attention to legitimate problems, it came across as players asking for pay increases while their top star was benched and their product was becoming less valuable. Clark herself expressed her opinion that we should be paid more. However, it wasn't she who, during warm-ups, they donned protest jerseys. Here's why, in the long term, none of this gloom and doom matters. This last weekend shown that Clark is more than just a player. She is the cornerstone around which the league's expansion is based. The cost of tickets drops by 48% when she falls. The WNBA sets attendance records and receives unprecedented public exposure when she is healthy. In Indianapolis, Angel Reese is free to start any shoe marketing she desires. She can pretend to be taking over by plastering "I'm in your city" billboards everywhere. But what do you know? Her marketing gimmicks are inconsequential to the stats. Without Clark present to compete, as fans lost interest and stayed at home, Reese was essentially shadowboxing in an empty gym. This setback will only strengthen Clark's comeback and increase the allure of the Fever's 2025 championship run. Leave a comment below to make fun of Reese's most recent antics, Baby Giraffe. To ensure that you never miss anything, like, subscribe, and enable all notifications.
I mean, you're going to mess around and a large, massive group of fans are going to be like, enough is enough. We've never had to see anything like it in sports, but you don't see these other leagues going around talking crazy about their fan bases all the time, like this league does. It's continuous. They're running their mouth about the people that are paying money to see them. You don't have other jobs where people walk up. You're in a public job that's in front of the world.